Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at how to set up your Adobe Connect classroom, and we're going to be looking at it both from my perspective and from a student's perspective. You can see on my screen I have a lot of options here, whereas on a student's screen we're going to see something a little bit different. Now the first thing I need to do as a host when setting up my classroom is turn my mic on so that the students can hear me. This can be done up here using the microphone icon. So if we just click it to connect our audio, once it's green we can see that the audio is connected. If there's a line through it, it means the audio is connected and I'm muted, and if I click again this will go fully green and I'll be connected and Michael will be able to hear me. The first thing I'm going to do is ask Michael to type in the chat if he can hear me. Hi Michael, can you hear me? If you can, just type down in the chat on your bottom right hand side of the screen. Okay, perfect. So we can see that Michael can hear us because he's typed it down in the chat. Now by default, Michael's audio won't be enabled. So to enable Michael's audio, I have to go up to the audio setting up here, and I have to enable microphone rights for participants. This will automatically turn their microphones on as well. Hi Michael, if you can hear me, just say yes back in the chat. Okay, perfect. And if you could just say something into the microphone as well now.
Good morning, Sam. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Okay, so we're going to look at a couple of things in the classroom from my perspective and then from Michael's perspective. So you guys can see on my screen that I have a couple of options. I have the meeting option, where I can record our meeting, I can switch to prep mode, I can enable full screen, and a couple of other things that we'll look at in a future video. I can change layouts, which we'll be looking at in the end of this video. I can add different pods on, so I could poll my users, I could give them a Q&A, I could add a set of notes on if I wanted to, and then hide them again if I wished. And I have a couple of options here, like muting my speakers, muting my audio, enabling my webcam, setting statuses, which we'll be talking about in a future video, and so on and so forth. Now I see a whole lot more than what a participant will, because as you can see over here on the right hand side, I'm set up as a host. So what I can do is I can hover over the participant and I get extra options on him as well, which again we'll go into later on in this video. So Michael, can you just take us through what you see on your screen there?
Yeah, sure. So on the main screen it says nothing is being shared, so in terms of notes I can't see anything. I can see an audio button up the top, my microphone, and also the prompt button as well, which has many questions that I can, or statuses, sorry, that I can acknowledge.
Okay, perfect. Now the next thing I'm going to show is how I can change Michael from a participant, where he has very few options, into presenter mode, where he has a few more options. You'll see on his screen, once I move him from participant to presenter, which I can do either by hovering over his name and clicking on make presenter, or I can drag and drop him into the presenter category. You'll see how his screen changes, and he then has the option to share his screen. So Michael, if you could point out the changes once I move you over.
Yeah, sure. So instantly I've got a share my screen option, and if I click on that I get a drop down menu, which you can obviously share your screen, what's on it, share a document, or share a whiteboard. It also allows for a recently shared, so if notes say that were uploaded on the previous week, they can be accessed as well through the recently shared.
Brilliant. Okay, now presenter mode is primarily for students who you want to take ownership of a class or ownership of a discussion. And presenter mode doesn't allow you any admin or host capabilities. The students can't turn my mic off, or they can't enable mics of other students. They're only able to present information in the classroom, and I can stop them at any time. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to move Michael into host mode. Now this gives Michael all of the attributes and permissions that I will have as well, and again you'll see his screen change once I do this. So Michael, if you can take us through those changes.
So again, I've gone into the host mode there. I obviously have the share my screen option as well, which will display the same icons as before with the same functionality. I can also, with the icon button, check for statuses. Also I can share my webcam, or start my webcam, which is another, so people could see my face for the actual screen. I can also create the stuff that Sam has been talking about before. So if I check the meeting mode, I can obviously record the meeting. There's a function to switch into prepare mode, which means you can prepare notes which a student can't see. And also, if I just move along with layouts, as Sam has already discussed there.
Okay, brilliant. So for the time being, I'm going to pop Michael back into participant mode. It's generally not advised to put a student into host mode because they get full access to the classroom and they can then move you around as well. So they could strip you of your rights as a host, which obviously wouldn't be ideal. So we're going to continue talking about setting up the classroom. We've already talked about enabling mics from both my perspective and from Michael's perspective. Now as a host, I'm going to talk about enabling my camera. So to enable my webcam, I just need to hit start my webcam here. And as we can see, we go directly into a preview mode. Now in this mode, Michael can't see what I'm doing, he can't see the other side of the webcam, and it allows me to make sure that the webcam is at the correct height. So to actually start sharing my webcam, I hit start sharing, and you'll see on Michael's screen that he can now see me on the webcam. Perfect. Okay. Now, I have a couple of options within this webcam, which are fairly simplistic. I can stop the webcam, I can move to full screen, and I can do a couple of other things. I can also click and drag the webcam around, make it bigger or smaller, and Michael will see those changes reflected on his screen also. So let's put it back up into the top right for the moment. Okay, and I'm going to stop the webcam there as well. Now, one of the last things you'll need to know about for this session is how to record your online classroom. Now to do that, we go into meeting, we go down to record meeting, and what we do is we give it a name. I'm going to call it example 1, and you can also give it a summary which can be pulled back and put onto Moodle later. For the moment I'll just leave that blank and hit OK. Now immediately up the top right of my screen you can see that the meeting is being recorded. Now I have two options here. I can pause the recording, which is useful if you put the class off on a break, like so, and then I can resume the recording afterwards. Now anything I say at the moment will be lost, it won't be recorded. So to start recording again, I simply click on the red button and click resume recording. And to stop the recording and save finally, I just hit stop recording and everything gets saved automatically into the back end of Adobe Connect, and then can be put up on Moodle at a later stage. So that's all for this session. Join us in the next video when we look at creating layouts and moving things around within our Adobe Connect classroom. Thanks for watching.